The March for Our Lives movement is ready for the next phase of gun reform, voting. Starting this coming Friday, organizers will embark on a nationwide summer bus tour, making 75 stops over the course of 60 days, registering young voters and educating them about the most effective way to stop the NRA by changing the politicians who make our gun laws.
People don't educate themselves on who they're voting for, what they're voting for, and worse, if people don't show up at the polls, which is why we are excited to announce March for Our Lives Road to Change, a 2-month summer tour around the country where we will go from city to city, state to state, making sure we are going to harness and energy the passion we witnessed on March 24th and turn it into action.
And joining me now are two members of the March for Our Lives movement and Marjory Stoneman Douglas students, Ryan Deach and Jacqueline Corn. And a little birdie tells me that, Ryan, you might have graduated. Did you just graduate?
Yes, I did just graduate, Joy.
Well, congratulations. I know that, Jackie, you're still a junior, I think. But yes, congratulations on getting that cap and gown, young man. So, all right, let's talk about you guys' summer project, because this is exciting. This is my favorite thing, voting. So important. And we already know that voter registrations in Broward County, Florida, where you guys live, my former home, spiked among young voters 25 and under, during the week of the March for Our Lives demonstrations against gun violence. How do you make that happen again? We'll start with the graduate, Ryan.
Well, simply, there are still people out there who are not registered to vote. And if they want to have their voice heard, if they want to participate in our country and have a say in what we have to do to make the change we need to make, then everybody's just going to have to register to vote.
Absolutely. All right. So
ultimately, we're making voting cool. Ooh.
No, go on.
Ultimately, we're making voting cool, and ultimately, we're making voting cool, and on every single stop we're going to, whether it be a town hall or rally or conversation or public display, we are going to be registering people to vote. We're partnering with Headcount and Rock the Vote and other voter registration programs, and we are going to be visiting the 27 congressional districts in Florida and over 70 districts around the nation, and making sure every single person that attends our events is registered to vote.
And Jackie, you guys have already been, we've already started to see younger people taking a greater interest in making change by voting, by registering and voting. Just in Florida, new voter registrations among voters under 26 years old going up, right? Every month we're seeing that. But we still have this challenge, and I'll start with you on this, Jack. I know we have a little bit of a delay. Voter turnout in midterm elections versus presidentials goes down anyway, right? It already goes down, but it does go down particularly among younger people. They just don't seem to participate in midterms. Give us the case that you're making when you're talking to your peers about why they should vote in midterms.
Well, midterm elections are ultimately just as important as presidential elections, even more so, because the decisions that Congress makes are ultimately what just runs this country. And people need to understand and be informed of who those elected officials are, because far too often people don't even know they're senators. And that's honestly a shame, because these people run your lives every single day, whether you know it or not. And we didn't know it before our school got shut up, and we don't want any other kid to have to go through what we are going through, because these politicians aren't listening to their constituents.
And you know, Ryan, we've seen one of the things that you guys have already accomplished in March for Our Lives has gotten people to really focus on the issue of gun violence in schools. But you guys have been very smart about saying it's not just schools. But the polling shows that people now, in April of at least as of April, it's a couple months ago, definitely feel it's more important to control gun violence. That's the chart on the right. More important to control gun violence than it is to do more to protect gun rights than is already in the Second Amendment. So you've got people trending in your direction. But, you know, Ryan, traditionally, younger voters focus on presidentials. They get enamored with, President Obama or when Obama's running, and they're into that. But then when midterms come along, as Jacqueline just said, there's so many more people that younger people just get bored of it and don't focus on it. Is there a way that you can translate the message you guys have had in March for Our Lives to get your peers to understand that, no, voting for that congressperson is the way to change this?
I mean, simply, young people just really need to focus on what affects them and how they can be affected by the political process. Like certain things like college payments, college loans, and health care, and legalization of various narcotics and drugs and things like that. Just things that affect young people and really just lay into their everyday lives, that if they could realize that they can make a difference on those fronts, then they'll look into the candidates that follow their viewpoints, their belief systems, and then just really vote in everything that they need to make sure that they can live their lives.
Yeah, I have to let you two respond to Betsy DeVos, the Secretary of Education. This isn't on your voting thing, but I wanted to give you guys a chance to respond to her. She was at a hearing, the Department of Education hearing, and she was asked by Senator Patrick Leahy of Vermont whether or not her study of gun violence in schools will include guns. Take a listen.
Will your commission look at the role of firearms as it relates to gun violence in our schools?
That is not part of the commission's charge per se.
I see. So you're studying gun violence, but not considering the role of guns.
We're actually studying school safety and how we can ensure our students are safe at school.
Your reaction, Jacqueline, and then Ryan.
Ultimately, Betsy DeVos needs to understand that there have been over 20 school shootings in 2018 alone. And if our Secretary of Education fails to recognize the role that guns play in our schools, she doesn't represent the students of America.
I lost all respect for Ms. DeVos after she visited our school after our tragedy. She came in one morning to secretly just lurk the halls. I was a part of the school TV production program, so I had to film her going about this. She would whisper to staff members. She would sit down with grieving students when they were in a private counseling session, fully breaking the privacy that these students needed after they lost their friends. And I just can't respect that she wouldn't even look at one of the leading causes of just death in schools, which shouldn't be a classic thing in America. This shouldn't be a classic thing in the 21st century, that we were talking about how many kids are dying in schools and how to stop it, let alone ignoring something as obvious as the gun.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I have to commend both of you. You guys are using part of your summer vacation to do good things, to do important things, to register people to vote. If you guys ever run for office, I suspect that either of you, you get elected to pretty much anything you want, and you guys can do anything you want in your futures. Thank you so much. Have a great summer. We're going to keep following what you're doing. Ryan Deach and Jacqueline Corn, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. And coming